First game we're going to talk about today, Memphis versus Arkansas State. The biggest game of the day, I think, in terms of teams that are going to be competitive this year in college football. Memphis in the AAC, they finished last year by scoring a whole lot of points against a good Penn State defense. This year, they're starting off against Arkansas State. Arkansas State has their quarterback back from last year. They have their receivers back from last year. They averaged 35 points a game last year. Arkansas State has lost 7 stars on defense. Memphis has lost 6. I'm taking the over in this game. It's 73.5 points. It's a lot of points. They're daring you to not take that over. You better take that over. It's the first week of college football. 73.5 points is happening. Points, winners. Next game is the only upset I see on the board today in college football. Middle Tennessee State versus Army. Both these teams like to run the ball. Middle Tennessee State's quarterback led his team in passing and rushing last year. 1,200 yards rushing, 3,000 yards passing. Middle Tennessee State's offensive coordinator was the guy who coached Jared Goff at Cal. Their defensive coordinator is a former Michigan defensive coordinator, former Syracuse head coach. He's very good. They're a well-coached team. They have the longest tenured coach in mid-major football. I like Middle Tennessee money line upsetting Army. That money line is plus 148. Middle Tennessee State over Army. Next game on the schedule, SMU versus Texas State. This game features, I think, the best team we're going to see play today, which is SMU. Last year, they won 10 games. SMU returns their starting quarterback, Shane Buechele, former Texas starting quarterback. He had 4,000 yards passing and 34 touchdowns last year. They also return 3 of their 4 leading receivers from last year. The over-under in this game is 69.5 points. SMU could score that by themselves. I think they'll probably give up a couple touchdowns late with their starters out of the game. I like the over in that game, 69.5. I also like SMU minus 23.5. And I also, as a bonus pick, I like the first half over 36.5. SMU, first half over 36.5. SMU by 23.5. And SMU and Texas State over 69.5 points. Winners, points, winners. The next game is one you can just throw into a parlay or something. UTEP versus Stephen F. Austin, over 54.5. I have it parlayed with the overs in the SMU and the Memphis game. UTEP's bad. Their defense gave up 42 points per game last year and lost 9 starters. Stephen F. Austin went 3-9 last year in the FCS. These two teams are not good. Two defenses that are not good. That means a lot of points this year. I like the UTEP and Stephen F. Austin over 54.5. Throw it in a parlay. I wouldn't bet it solo. I mean, these teams don't really matter that much anyways. Another game that I would throw in to sweeten a parlay, I wouldn't bet it solo, Houston Baptist versus North Texas, over 68.5. Since head coach Seth Luttrell has gotten to Houston Baptist, they have been the top 5 in the NCAA in passing attempts every year. Houston Baptist scored 36 points against UTEP in the first game of last year. I think they're a program on the rise. They just came up from D2 a couple years ago. But I like the points. I think North Texas can put up a lot of them. I think 68.5 is the play. Throw it in a parlay. I have it in one that I'll give you guys in a little bit. That has a couple picks outside of college football. We got a 4-team parlay for you. A little bit from every sport today. We got the Philadelphia Flyers. Game 7 against the Islanders. Money line over the Islanders. I think they're the better team. I think they're going to win. I think they're going to advance to the Eastern Conference Finals. We have the Toronto Raptors. Money line over the Boston Celtics. I think the Celtics are going to come out flat after that loss with the OJ Anunoby 3. I think the Raptors are the better team. We got the St. Louis Cardinals minus 108. Money line over the Chicago Cubs. The Cubs have had no consistency this year. I would know. I watch them all the time. Adam Wainwright's pitching for the Cardinals. Adbert Alzol's pitching for the Cubs. Even if Alzolay puts together good effort, the bullpen will probably blow it. Wainwright's a far better pitcher. And then Houston Baptist and North Texas over 68.5. That finalizes that out at a plus 1466 money line parlay. Take it. And now for the pick you've all been waiting for. The biggest game of the day. The most important game of the day. The game that's going to get everything kicked off in great fashion. It is the Marshall University Thundering Herd hosting the Eastern Kentucky Colonels. Game day, 1 o'clock p.m. Marshall versus East Kentucky, minus 23.5. I don't care that Isaiah Green left. I don't care that Jaquan Yulee left. We got our running back. We got a good defense. We got veteran wide receivers. We got a great head coach. We got a great offensive coordinator. Our defensive coordinator's great too. Minus 23.5. Who gives a fuck about Eastern Kentucky? Minus 23.5. Marshall, you know what? If you want to, you can take the over too. Because we're going to be putting points on their ass. Marshall does not lose to FCS teams. Never have. Not even when we were in the FCS did we lose to FCS teams. This is the year Marshall wins the CUSA again. Right on the board. Put it up. We are